You think the fight is out there with unfair people, bad breaks, and unexpected setbacks. But the real war, it's in your head. Negative thoughts are not facts. They are stories that shape your reality if you don't challenge them. Marcus Aurelius didn't teach you how to win the world. He taught you how to win your mind, and that changes everything. We're told to stay positive. But what if your thoughts are louder than your will? What if the voice in your head keeps whispering that you're not good enough, that you're falling behind, that you'll never get out of this rut? This is not a motivational video. It's a mental reset. A call to return to the ancient wisdom that built empires not with swords, but with clarity. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just an emperor. He was a man who faced war, betrayal, and chaos, and still trained his mind to be calm, clear, and unshaken. His message is simple. Your thoughts don't define you, your actions do. In a world where negativity is louder than ever, you need tools, not just tips. You need a framework to fight back without fighting yourself. So today we break it down. How to silence the chaos within, how to create distance from your darkest thoughts, and how to take back the most important territory you'll ever reclaim, your mind. Let's begin. Most people think their life is ruined by bad luck, by outside forces. But the truth, your mind is the first battlefield. Negative thoughts are like wild animals. If you don't train them, they'll turn on you. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they taught that you don't have to obey every thought that enters your mind, because most of them are not truths. They're triggers. Think about it. How often has a single thought made you spiral? I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. One sentence. And suddenly you're paralyzed. But what if you questioned? That voice, is it fact or just fear? Is it truth or just trauma? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, your thoughts do not have power unless you give it to them. You must learn to observe them, not absorb them. Epictetus said it best. We cannot control what enters our mind, but we can always control how we respond. So, when negativity shows up, don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Don't engage it. Let it pass like a cloud across the sky. This is called cognitive distancing. You are not the storm, you're the sky. And once you create that distance, you regain control. Next, learn to reframe. Instead of thinking I'm not ready, say I'm preparing. Instead of I can't handle this, say I've survived worse and I will again. Self-talk is not fluff. It's architecture. You are building the scaffolding of your own mind. If you keep repeating failure stories, you live them. But if you reframe your story, you change the outcome. Marcus said it clearly. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. You want to change your life, start with your palate. The next time your mind starts spiraling, don't run. Pause, observe, challenge, and reframe. Because here's the truth. Negative thoughts do not define you. Your decisions do. You are not broken. You are just undisciplined in your thinking. That's about to change. What if your worst thoughts weren't real, just echoes from your past? What if the loudest voice in your head wasn't telling the truth, but testing your strength? What if your greatest enemy wasn't out there, it was the one thought you never questioned? theme. Control your mind. Not the world core story. The boy with the shadow voice. Let me show you a story about control your mind. Not the world. A boy who heard a voice every day. The boy with the shadow voice. Not from someone around him, but from inside. A voice that said, "You're not good enough. You'll fail. Why try?" It followed him like a shadow. He smiled at school, nodded at his parents, showed up where he needed to. But inside, he carried a war, and like most people, he believed that voice was him, until one day, he stumbled across a passage by Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That quote shook him, not because it silenced the voice, but because it revealed the truth. He wasn't the voice. He was the observer of the voice. You see, this is where the Stoic journey begins, not in power or control, but in perception. Most of us live our lives reacting to every thought that passes through our mind. We assume our thoughts are true simply because we think them. But Stoicism challenges that illusion. It invites us to stop identifying with every whisper in our head and start asking better questions. Is this thought useful? Is it true? Does this belief serve who I want to become? The boy began doing something radical. Each morning, he listened, not to obey the voice, but to notice it, to create distance. He gave the voice a name, the doubter, and instead of fighting it, he acknowledged it with a smile and said, "Noted." That's when everything changed. You can't control the world. You can't stop pain. You can't make everyone like you or erase the past. But you can shape your mind, and that shapes everything else. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes practical. It's not abstract. It's not passive. It's a practice, one that begins with a single truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the master of them if you choose to be. Just like the boy. You can begin today. Create space. Observe your internal dialogue without judgment. Let the storm swirl, but stay rooted. When your mind tells you you'll fail, reply, "Maybe, but I will try anyway." When it says you're not enough, respond, "I define what enough means." Control of the mind is not about suppression. It's about awareness. Power doesn't come from forcing silence, but from refusing to be led blindly by noise. So, next time the voice speaks and it will pause, listen, label it, and remind yourself, you are the one who decides which voice gets to stay. Because that boy, he's every one of us. And the moment he stopped obeying the voice, he started becoming who he truly was meant to be. Welcome to the Stoic path. We go deeper. How to turn these Stoic ideas into habits, how to filter your thoughts with clarity, and how to train your mind to serve you, not sabotage you. Is this thought objectively true? Or is it just fear wearing a mask? Most of your darkest thoughts aren't facts. They're echoes, old wounds replaying themselves. You think they're prophecies, but they're just patterns. The Stoics knew this, and they offered a way out. Mental distancing, cognitive detachment from your thoughts isn't apathy, it's awareness. It means seeing your thoughts like clouds in the sky. They drift through, but they don't define the sky itself. Epictetus taught this centuries ago. You don't control what thoughts arrive, but you always control how long you let them stay. So when that voice returns, you're not enough. You'll never make it. You don't argue with it. You don't fight it. You observe it. You let it pass. This single-move cognitive distancing breaks the loop. It gives you a moment to breathe, a crack of light in a dark spiral. Then comes the next step, reframing. If your thought says, "I'll never be good at this," replace it. "I'm learning and improving every day." If your mind whispers, "I can't handle this," say instead, "I've handled worse and I'm still standing." This isn't delusion, it's discipline. Mental training, because self-talk is programming, and what you repeat becomes what you believe. These small shifts in language build your self-perception, your belief in your capabilities, your clarity under pressure. But today, that clarity is rare. We are bombarded with comparison, drowned in digital noise, pulled in every direction except inward. No wonder our minds spiral. No wonder we doubt. But the Stoics remind us your mind is not the enemy. It's the weapon. The enemy is how you misuse that weapon, the stories you believe without checking, the thoughts you serve instead of examine. So here's your training. Next time a dark thought enters, pause, observe it, challenge it, reframe it. And most importantly, act, because thoughts do not define you. Your actions do. Now let's go deeper. Negative thoughts love to feast on things you can't control. What others think, what already happened, what might go wrong next. But Marcus Aurelius cuts through the fog with one line. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this. And you will find strength. That's not a quote. To admire, it's a strategy to live by. The next time you're overwhelmed, stop and ask, what can I actually control here? Maybe you didn't get the job. Maybe someone disrespected you. Maybe your plans fell apart. You can't change what happened, but you can control how you respond. You can level up your skills, protect your peace, take the next step. That's the Stoic way, not reacting blindly, but responding wisely. You're stuck in traffic. You can't move the cars, but you can control your breathing. You can prepare your mind for the meeting ahead. Or choose to stay calm instead of spiraling. That's power. And that's what Marcus meant: control what you can. Let go of what you can't. Otherwise, you're just handing your peace to everything outside of you. And when you do that, you lose every time. What if the thoughts in your mind were just passing clouds and not the sky itself? What if you could observe your anxiety without becoming it? What if clarity came not from controlling your thoughts, but from creating space between them? Let me show you a story about cognitive distancing, a young monk and a lesson from the sky. The cloud that wasn't him. The monk was troubled. His thoughts were loud, swirling like a storm in his head. Doubt, anger, fear. Every time he tried to meditate, the storm got worse. He asked his master, "How can I silence my mind?" The master led him outside and pointed upward. "What do you see?" "Clouds," the monk replied. "And what are the clouds floating in?" "The sky." "Exactly," the master said. You are the sky. Your thoughts are the clouds. Let them pass. But don't mistake them for what you truly are. This was the monk's first lesson in cognitive distancing, the Stoic practice of observing your thoughts without identifying with them. We all have thoughts, some helpful, some harmful, but most aren't commands, they're habits, echoes, past fears dressed up as truth. Cognitive distancing means you don't have to fight your thoughts or believe them. You can watch them, label them, let them pass like clouds drifting through the sky. This isn't denial. It's awareness. It's the foundation of mental freedom. So when your mind says, "You can't do this," pause. Label the thought. That's doubt. When it whispers, "They don't like you," pause. Label the thought. That's insecurity. You are not that thought. You are the one who notices it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." But it starts with noticing what you think without reacting to it. The monk didn't become thoughtless, but he stopped becoming every thought. And that gave him peace. The same is possible for you. Next time anxiety rises, don't wrestle with it. Don't run from it. Just look at it like a cloud. It's there, but it's not me. Because once you see that, you realize the storm never owned the sky, and neither do your thoughts own you. We'll go further into the power of presence, how Stoics used gratitude to anchor themselves in the now, and why letting go of mental noise is your greatest freedom. You're in traffic. You're late. Your heart's racing. Your mind's spiraling through worst-case scenarios. But pause. Does getting angry move the traffic? Does stress make time go faster? No. What you can control is how you respond. You can choose to breathe, to listen to something calming, to prepare mentally, to stay present instead of panicking. This isn't just about traffic, it's about everything. Because most of the time, we hand our peace of mind to things we can't control. And that's the trade we make every day without noticing. But what if you stopped? What if you asked yourself, how many of my worries today are completely outside my control? And what if you let them go? Letting go doesn't mean apathy. It means precision, choosing where your energy goes. You didn't get the job. You can't change their decision. But you can improve your skills, apply elsewhere, grow stronger. Someone insulted you. You can't shut them up, but you can refuse to let their words write your identity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Dwell on what's outside your reach, and you rob yourself of clarity and peace." This world will not cooperate with your plans. People will disappoint you. Life will throw the unexpected your way, but your response, that is yours. So ask yourself, will you waste energy resisting reality? Or will you channel it into what you can shape? Your habits, your perspective, your character. This is what the Stoics meant by mental freedom. You don't need to escape the world. You need to escape the illusion of control over it. And once you do, you become untouchable. Next time you feel overwhelmed, pause, ask, is this within my control? If not, release it, and bring your mind back to what you can influence, your thoughts, your attitude, your effort. This doesn't just reduce stress, it builds strength. And the more you practice it, the more unshakable you become. In a world drowning in chaos, that kind of calm is gold. Now, here's the deeper truth. Your negative thoughts, they're not reality, they're stories. Uninvited guests that whisper fear, regret, and doubt. But that's all they are, stories. Marcus Aurelius said, The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes how you live. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, that you always fail, that no one respects you, then you'll start living like that's true. But what if you rewrote the script? What if you stopped letting one failure, one harsh word, one mistake define your life? Because your identity is not forged by what went wrong. It's defined by what you do next. What if your frustration wasn't caused by the world but by your expectations? What if you could stay calm even when life doesn't go your way? What if every delay was training, not punishment? Let me show you a story about response over reaction. A man running late, caught in a traffic jam. The man stuck on the freeway. He gripped the steering wheel. White-knuckled, the clock ticked. The cars didn't move. His meeting important. Career-changing was 5 minutes away. His heart raced. His jaw clenched. The voice in his head screamed, "This is ruining everything." Then, something shifted. He remembered something he once read from Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Traffic wasn't his choice, but panic. That was. So he took a breath, released the tension. He looked round. Nothing he could do would change the road, but what he could change was his response. This is the test life gives us, not a test of convenience, but a test of control. Most men lose themselves the moment they lose control of circumstances. They yell at traffic, snap at strangers, sabotage their own day over things they cannot change. But the Stoic, he practices restraint. He turns delays into preparation, setbacks into reflection, agitation into breathing practice. The man in traffic didn't reach his meeting on time, but he walked in calm, clear, ready. While others carried stress like armor, he carried stillness like a sword. And that's what Stoicism teaches us. We don't always get to choose the storm, but we always choose how we sail through it. So next time frustration rises, pause, ask, is this helping? Can I control this? What response would make me proud later? Because life isn't testing your luck, it's testing your mastery. And you pass when you respond, not when you react. We explore how to rewrite your inner story for strength, not sabotage. How to shape identity through new language, new actions, and Stoic reflection. Now imagine a man who tells himself, "I'm unlucky." Every setback becomes proof. Every missed shot confirms the story. He doesn't live with facts. He lives inside a narrative. But what if he changed the lens? What if every failure wasn't a verdict, but feedback, a lesson, a nudge in a better direction? Because how you frame your experience becomes your experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. You say you're stuck, that your life is hopeless, that you'll never succeed. But those aren't facts, they're repeated lines in a bad script. You can rewrite them today. What if you saw every challenge as a test, every failure as refinement, every day as a fresh draft of your life? No, the world won't change overnight, but your view of it can. And that's where real power begins. Think about a belief you've carried for years. I'm bad at relationships. I mess everything up. I'm not smart enough. Now, ask, Is that really true? Or just something you've repeated until it's stuck? If it's just a thought, then it can be replaced. Rewriting your narrative is not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing one that empowers instead of imprisons. You failed. That means you learned something that didn't work. You were rejected. That means you weren't the right fit for them, not that you're unworthy. You feel lost. That means you're in the middle of discovery, not the end of your story. Every negative thought has a flip side, and reframing is about finding it, flipping it, and moving forward. So how do you do it? Start with this. Question your negative thoughts. Are they facts or just opinions? Replace them with language that builds, not breaks. I'll never succeed becomes I haven't figured it out yet. Nobody cares about me becomes I will find the right people who value me. I always fail becomes I'm learning and improving every day. This is not blind positivity. This is mental discipline. Training your perception, where a warrior trains his body. Because when you see life through the lens of strength, no failure, no opinion, no setback can break you. You are the author, so write something worth living in the next chapter. It begins with embracing hardship, not avoiding it. What if your life story wasn't true but just the one you've been repeating? What if you could choose a new script and start living by it? What if failure wasn't the end but the opening line to something greater? Let me show you a story about reframing limiting beliefs. A girl who believed she was cursed. The girl who called herself unlucky. She grew up believing misfortune followed her. If she tripped, it proved she was clumsy. If she failed a test, it confirmed she wasn't smart. If someone didn't choose her, it meant she wasn't enough. Every bad moment became proof. See, I'm just unlucky. Until one day, she met someone who said, "That's not unlucky, that's a pattern of meaning you've created." She blinked. "What do you mean?" "You see only what confirms your story. But you wrote the story, and you can write a new one." That was the first time she questioned the script. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Reframing doesn't mean pretending. It means choosing a story that empowers you. One that lets the past become fuel, not a sentence. The girl started small. She changed "I failed" to "I learned." She changed "they left me" to "they made space for better." She changed "I can't do this" to "I haven't figured it out yet." Day by day, her life changed. Not because the world got easier, but because her mind got stronger. Your beliefs shape your reality. But they are not fixed. They are not facts. They are drafts. And every day you hold the pen. So ask yourself, what story have I been telling? And better yet, what story will I tell now? Because once you rewrite the script, your entire life follows the new plot. We explore how to rewrite your inner story for strength, not sabotage. How to shape identity through new language, new actions, and Stoic reflection. Now imagine a man who tells himself, "I'm unlucky." Every setback becomes proof. Every missed shot confirms the story. He doesn't live with facts. He lives inside a narrative. But what if he changed the lens? What if every failure wasn't a verdict, but feedback, a lesson? A nudge in a better direction. Because how you frame your experience becomes your experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself. In your way of thinking, you say you're stuck, that your life is hopeless, that you'll never succeed. But those aren't facts, they're repeated. Lines in a bad script. You can rewrite them today. What if you saw every challenge as a test, every failure as refinement, every day as a fresh draft of your life? No, the world won't change overnight, but your view of it can. And that's where real power begins. Think about a belief you've carried for years. I'm bad at relationships. I mess everything up. I'm not smart enough. Now, ask, is that really true? Or just something you've repeated until it's stuck? If it's just a thought, then it can be replaced. Rewriting your narrative is not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing one that empowers instead of imprisons. You failed. That means you learned something that didn't work. You were rejected. That means you weren't the right fit for them, not that you're unworthy. You feel lost. That means you're in the middle of discovery, not the end of your story. Every negative thought has a flip side, and reframing is about finding it, flipping it, and moving forward. So how do you do it? Start with this. Question your negative thoughts. Are they facts or just opinions? Replace them with language that builds, not breaks. I'll never succeed becomes I haven't figured it out yet. Nobody cares about me becomes I will find the right people who value me. I always fail becomes I'm learning and improving every day. This is not blind positivity. This is mental discipline. Training your perception, where a warrior trains his body. Because when you see life through the lens of strength, no failure, no opinion, no setback can break you. You are the author, so write something worth living. And the next chapter, it begins with embracing hardship, not avoiding it. What if your life story wasn't true but just the one you've been repeating? What if you could choose a new script and start living by it? What if failure wasn't the end but the opening line to something greater? Let me show you a story about reframing limiting beliefs. A girl who believed she was cursed. The girl who called herself unlucky. She grew up believing misfortune followed her. If she tripped, it proved she was clumsy. If she failed a test, it confirmed she wasn't smart. If someone didn't choose her, it meant she wasn't enough. Every bad moment became proof. See, I'm just unlucky. Until one day, she met someone who said, "That's not unlucky, that's a pattern of meaning you've created." She blinked. "What do you mean?" "You see only what confirms your story. But you wrote the story, and you can write a new one." That was the first time she questioned the script. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Reframing doesn't mean pretending. It means choosing a story that empowers you. One that lets the past become fuel, not a sentence. The girl started small. She changed "I failed" to "I learned." She changed "they left me" to "they made space for better." She changed "I can't do this" to "I haven't figured it out yet." Day by day, her life changed. Not because the world got easier, but because her mind got stronger. Your beliefs shape your reality. But they are not fixed. They are not facts. They are drafts. And every day you hold the pen. So ask yourself, what story have I been telling? And better yet, what story will I tell now? Because once you rewrite the script, your entire life follows the new plot. In the next section, We dive into Stoicism's toughest truth, that hardship is not punishment, it's preparation. Page 5 will show how the Stoics turned struggle into strength, and why you must too. Struggle is not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. Marcus Aurelius knew this deeply. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every challenge you face, every failure, every painful moment is part of your training. Hard times are not punishments, they're preparation. Think about it. What kind of man never struggles, never feels resistance, never has to fight? He may be comfortable, but he's untested and fragile. Now think about the man who's been through the fire, who has suffered setbacks, endured loss, and still kept moving. That man is dangerous because he has earned his strength. He didn't inherit it, he built it. So when life knocks you down, when you're drained, discouraged, or tempted to give up, ask this: what is this moment teaching me? Because every hardship is loaded with power. If you let it sharpen you, think of a soldier in training. He doesn't complain about the gear, the pain, the endless drills. He embraces the weight. Because he knows this is making him stronger, preparing him for what's next. Life is no different. Your career setbacks, your heartbreaks, your struggles with identity or purpose, they're not curses, they're carving tools, sculpting you into something sharper. But here's the problem. Most people don't see it that way. They treat struggle like an error in the system. Something to run from, something to resent. But Epicurus reminds us, difficulties reveal character. Your strength isn't built in comfort. It's revealed in pressure. You don't become disciplined by avoiding pain. You become disciplined by enduring it. You don't become wise by staying safe. You become wise by falling down, getting up, and learning what works. So think back now to the hardest thing you survived. Maybe it was a loss, a betrayal, a rock-bottom moment that left you breathless. At the time it felt like the end. But you're still here, stronger, wiser, marked but not broken. That's the purpose of hardship. It strips away illusions. It exposes weakness. It reveals your real limits, so you can break through them, but only if you embrace it. Because the men who let struggle destroy them, they're the ones who complain, who cut corners, who point fingers instead of taking ownership. But the ones who rise, they see pain as preparation. They treat every challenge like a rep in the gym. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." So next time life hits hard, don't ask why me. Ask, what can I learn from this? What if pain wasn't your punishment, but your preparation? What if the struggle you fear is the fire that forges your strength? What if hardship wasn't happening to you, but happening for you? Let me show you a story about strength through struggle. A soldier forged in fire, the soldier who welcomed pain. He was just a recruit when the trials began. The drills were brutal, the days long, the nights sleepless. Others broke down, complained, questioned why they were being punished. But not him. He remembered the words of Marcus Aurelius, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. So he leaned in. Where others saw discomfort, he saw discipline. Where others saw resistance, he saw refinement, because he knew strength is not given. It is earned. Hardship wasn't there to destroy him. It was there to sharpen him. Every failure, a lesson, every obstacle, a teacher, every test, a mirror, showing him who he truly was becoming. You see, Stoics don't run from pain. They train with it. They don't pray for an easy life. They prepare for a resilient one. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. If you've been knocked down, good. You're in the fight. If you're exhausted, good. It means you've been pushing forward. If life feels heavy, good. Because that weight, that's your strength being built." The soldier wasn't the strongest, but he endured. And because he endured, he transformed. You can too. So next time hardship visits you, ask, what is this moment training me for? Because every time you rise, when it's easier to quit, you become more unbreakable. And that's the path the Stoic walks. Coming next, page 6 breaks down Stoic presence and gratitude. How Marcus Aurelius used awareness to regain peace in chaos, and how you can too, starting today. That mindset shift from why me to what's this teaching me is what separates the weak from the strong, the lost from the disciplined, the ordinary from the unshakable. Hardship is not here to stop you. It's here to train you. Will you let it? Now let's move forward to the power of presence and the Stoic tool most people overlook, gratitude. We live most of our lives outside the present, haunted by the past, anxious about the future, never truly alive where life actually happens right now. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbor. Think rather of something useful to be done. In other words, stop watching others live. Start showing up for your own life." The present moment is the only real territory you control, yet we let it slip through our fingers. Think about it. How often are you physically here, but mentally gone? You're eating with your family, but your mind's on work. You're walking outside, but you're replaying a conversation from 3 days ago. This mental absence creates one thing: emptiness. And that's why so many people feel lost, because they're never actually with their own life. It's like drowning in a river, fighting the current, panicking, trying to control what can't be controlled. This is what it looks like when you obsess over the past or fear the future. You're fighting time itself instead of living in it. But the Stoic doesn't fight the current. He flows with it. He knows the past is gone. The future is unpredictable. But this moment is yours. And that's where gratitude begins. Seneca wrote, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Gratitude is the cure for dissatisfaction. It's not a soft idea. It's a battle-tested tool. Because when you focus on what you already have, you break free from the loop of endless chasing. The world screams, more success, more money, more attention. But Marcus would say, it's not the next milestone that will give you peace. It's your ability to appreciate the current one, right now. Ask yourself, what have I taken for granted today? Your health, your relationships, your ability to open your eyes and live one more day. What would your life feel like if you stopped chasing what's next and finally embraced what's already here? Because too many men waste their strongest. YERS looking for meaning in the future, while missing the miracle that's happening now. What if you could stay calm no matter how loud the world gets? What if your emotions weren't the enemy, but a signal waiting to be mastered? What if peace wasn't something you found, but something you created from within? Let me show you a story about emotional detachment, a firefighter stepping into the blaze, the firefighter who didn't flinch. The house was on fire, smoke everywhere, flames licked the ceiling, civilians screamed outside. Chaos reigned. But the firefighter didn't panic. He moved with clarity, calm, focused, not because he didn't feel fear, but because he didn't let fear take the lead. Later, someone asked him, "How did you stay so calm?" He shrugged. "I trained for this. Fear is allowed to be there. It's just not allowed to steer." That's Stoic detachment. Not numbness, not apathy, but control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Most people live as emotional slaves. One rude comment ruins their day. One mistake spirals into shame. One disappointment becomes a downward spiral. But not the Stoic. He feels but doesn't follow every feeling. He pauses, assesses, and chooses his response. The firefighter didn't ignore the fire. He just didn't become it. That's your training ground too. Everyday life throws sparks. Traffic, tension, betrayal, fear. The question isn't whether emotions will rise. It's whether you'll bow to them or breathe through them. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." It's not the fire that breaks us, it's how we think about the fire. So next time anger flares, don't act, pause. Next time fear shuts. Don't obey. Investigate. Ask yourself, is this helping me act wisely? Is this worth my energy? Will this matter in a year or even tomorrow? Emotional detachment isn't the absence of feeling. It's the presence of mastery. It's standing in the heat without burning down. It's choosing to be the anchor, not the wave. You don't train detachment by escaping conflict. You train it by stepping into discomfort and staying grounded. Like the firefighter, he didn't flinch because he'd already fought many fires internally. So build that fireproof mind. Let the world burn round you if it must. You stay steady. Because true power isn't about controlling what happens. It's about staying calm no matter what does. That's what Stoics do, and that's what you're learning to become. In the next page, we expand this even further. How presence becomes power, and why embracing simplicity makes you mentally invincible. Most people are waiting for the raise, waiting for the relationship, waiting for the right time to finally be happy. "I'll be content when" becomes a life sentence. But life doesn't wait, and by the time they realize it, years have slipped away in a haze of distraction and regret. The power of presence isn't just poetic, it's practical. It's how you reclaim your time, your real time. Because when you're present, you engage, you listen with attention, you speak with clarity, you act with intention. And when you practice gratitude, you stop seeing life as something broken to fix. and start seeing it as something beautiful to experience. So ask yourself right now, what's actually stopping you from being present? What burdens are you carrying that no longer serve you? The past is finished, the future is uncertain, but this moment is yours. Will you waste it? Or will you finally use it? Because at the end of your life, the only moments that will matter are the ones you were fully there for. Now let's unlock one of the most powerful Stoic tools, the view from above. Most problems seem massive until you change how you look at them. When you're deep in stress or frustration, everything feels personal. Everything feels urgent. But the Stoics knew a shift in vantage point can calm the storm. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, still struggled with self-doubt and suffering. So he'd imagine himself from far above, not as a ruler, but as a man brief and mortal. Think of yourself as dead. He wrote, "You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." He meant this. Zoom out. See your current struggle from the top of the mountain. Ask yourself, will this matter next week? Next year? At the end of your life, most of the things that keep us up at night, they vanish in that wider view. The opinion of a stranger, the missed message, the awkward meeting or failed plan, all of it becomes dust. Astronauts say the same when they look down at Earth. The arguments, the ego, the chaos, it all looks laughably small. They see truth, that we are all tiny, all connected, and none of this stress truly matters. The Stoics trained their minds to rise that way, to mentally ascend when emotion pulled them down. Seneca said it perfectly. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it, and most of that waste comes from clinging to what doesn't matter, status, stuff, surface-level emotion. But when you practice the view from above, you stop reacting to noise. You start recognizing signal. You don't shrink your problems. You just rise high enough to see them clearly. What if the people around you weren't just company, but sculptors of your destiny? What if your circle wasn't neutral, but either lifting you or limiting you? What if the path to strength began with one question? Who's walking beside me? Let me show you a story about choosing the right company. A man who shifted everything by changing who he stood beside. The man who changed his circle. He had dreams, big ones, but his life looked small. Every time he tried to improve, his circle mocked him. Why so serious? They'd ask. Just live a little. Every healthy habit was laughed at. Every goal was labeled too ambitious, and slowly he shrank to fit their comfort, until one night he asked himself, if I keep walking with them, where does this road end? He couldn't answer, not because he didn't know, but because he did. So he made a decision not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. He stepped back, chose solitude over shallow approval, and then, step by step, began seeking people who lived with purpose. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and the thoughts we hold most often come from the company we keep. You become like those you spend time with, their energy, their standards, their mindset. The weak will tell you to quit. The disciplined will push you to grow. The complainers will feed your excuses. The doers will. Mirror your grit." The man didn't become great overnight, but by walking with stronger minds his own grew stronger. Seneca said, Associate with people who are likely to improve you. That's not cold, that's wise. Because your environment isn't neutral, it's shaping you every moment. So ask yourself, do these people reflect my future or just my past? Do they stretch me or shrink me? Do they inspire resilience or excuse weakness? You don't owe anyone your potential, and you don't need to explain your standards. Walk with lions and you'll learn to hunt. Walk with victims and you'll forget your strength. The man who changed his circle didn't lose friends. He found alignment. He didn't become distant. He became focused. And eventually he didn't have to chase better people. Better people found him. Because when you become someone who lives with purpose, you attract those who do the same. So protect your space, guard your gates, and surround yourself with those who remind you who you're becoming. That's what Stoics do. They don't just choose their path, they choose who walks beside them. Next, page 8 shows how this mental elevation turns into emotional discipline, and why stillness, not control, is your final superpower. Most of what you stress over is this: temporary, fleeting, and rarely worth your energy. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, pause, close your eyes, imagine rising above your life, picture yourself in your city. Now zoom out, to your country, to your continent, to the planet. How big does that problem feel now? Does that argument still deserve your rage? Does that delay, that rejection, that small mistake still define you? Or does it begin to fade into the background of something much larger? There's a story of a businessman who lost everything: his company, his reputation, his fortune. He thought his life was over until he stepped back and asked a better question. What really matters? He realized he still had his health, his family, his mind, his ability to rebuild. He had spent years measuring his life through the wrong lens, thinking his worth came from what he owned. But when he looked from a higher perspective, he saw truth, that his real value was in his grit, his resilience, his ability to adapt when things fell apart. This is what the Stoics understood deeply. Everything, including your problems, is temporary. So will you let them control you, or rise above them? The next time you feel trapped in negativity, step back. Ask, will this still matter a year from now? Does this truly define who I am? If the answer is no, let it go. Redirect your energy to what actually matters: your values, your character, your actions, the way you live this day, this hour. Because in the end, the only thing that limits your life is the perspective you refuse to change. The power of self-discipline and taking action discipline is the backbone of every great man. It separates those who dream from those who do. It's not luck, it's not talent. It's not intelligence that builds legacy. It's self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius lived this. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Every day you face a choice. Control your actions, or let your impulses control you. And make no mistake, the modern world is built to weaken your discipline. Distractions, notifications, comfort, quick dopamine instead of real effort. You see it everywhere. Men who start, but don't finish. Men who talk, but never do. Men who wait for the perfect moment that never arrives. What separates the weak from the strong? is the man who acts anyway, who moves forward despite discomfort, who chooses the hard path because it's right, not easy. Think of a soldier in training. He doesn't wait for motivation. He doesn't hope for comfort. He shows up every day because he knows what if the most powerful motivation wasn't a goal but a grave. What if the clock wasn't ticking down on your to-do list but your life? What if you stopped waiting and started living like it all mattered? Let me show you a story about Memento Mori, a man who faced the truth most avoid, the man who counted his days. He wasn't sick, he wasn't old, but he was tired of wasting time. Every day looked the same, scrolling, complaining, promising to start someday, until he read 5 words that shattered him. You could leave life right now. Marcus Aurelius wrote those words not to depress, but to awaken. The man felt something click. He opened a notebook, drew a grid of tiny boxes, one for each week of an average life. Some were already shaded, gone, never to return. What remained? Less than he thought. He looked at the empty boxes not as time to spend, but moments to use, because Memento Mori, remember you must die, isn't about fear. It's about urgency. You don't get to choose how long you live, but you do. Choose how deeply you live. The man made changes. Asterisk, asterisk. He said what he needed to say. Started what he kept delaying. Let go of old resentments. Took risks that mattered. Because when you realize life is short, you stop wasting it, Seneca said. It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. The man lived differently now. He didn't scroll as much, didn't argue as much, didn't hold back his love or his dreams. He woke up with this thought: if this is my last day, how do I want to show up? Not out of fear, but out of purpose. Memento. Mori strips away what doesn't matter. That petty argument, that fake smile, that excuse to wait another day. When you remember death, you remember life, and you start choosing it fully. So ask yourself, what am I putting off? What would I regret not doing if this was my last week? Am I living or just planning to? The Stoics didn't fear death. They used it as a mirror. Because in the shadow of death, life becomes precious. So live like it. Speak the truth. Take the risk, do the work. Love without delay. Because you don't get forever, but you do get now. And that's more than enough if you actually use it. On the next page, we'll finish strong. The daily discipline of Stoic action, why consistent effort beats motivation, and how to reclaim your power through simple, repeatable moves. Discipline is what saves the warrior when the time comes. Life is no different. If you lack discipline, you'll be ruled by your emotions, by your cravings, by your circumstances. Seneca said it best. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. But many men, they sit and wait for the right moment, for the big break, to feel ready. And when opportunity knocks, they're unprepared. Because the truth is this: discipline is freedom. If you cannot control yourself, you will be controlled by everything else. The disciplined man is different. He doesn't need perfect conditions. He doesn't wait to be inspired. He doesn't fear the work. He becomes the work. He doesn't wait for momentum. He creates it with action, with repetition, with showing up no matter what. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? How many tomorrows passed? How many years lost, waiting for the right time? That never came. The only way out is forward, action, if you need to get in shape. Don't research the best program for weeks. Do one push-up, then another, then build. If you want to change careers, don't wait for permission. Start building the skills now. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's the rule. Action kills doubt. Action builds confidence, and confidence builds discipline. There is no shortcut, no hack. Just the decision to do what needs to be done. So ask yourself right now, you a man who leads his life, or one who waits for a life to lead him? Because your future depends on your answer. Emotional detachment. The final Stoic skill emotions are powerful. They can fuel greatness or destroy everything you've built. The problem isn't that we feel. It's that we let feelings dictate our decisions. Most men don't act. They react. Anger, frustration, fear. They don't lead their emotions. They follow them. But Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's not detachment from life. It's control over your reactions. Detachment is not suppression. It's mastery. It's feeling fully without being owned by what you feel. Think about the last time you acted from anger. Did it help, or did it lead to damage, regret? And backtracking. How often do we make life-changing choices based on a 30-second emotion? What if adversity didn't weaken you but revealed how strong you could become? What if you weren't meant to break, but to rebuild stronger every time? What if the hits in life weren't setbacks but sharpening blows? Let me show you a story about building an anti-fragile mind. A man who faced fire not to survive it, but to be transformed by it. The blacksmith who forged himself. He worked alone, hammer in hand, sweat on his brow. He forged steel not just to shape weapons, but to master himself. Every swing was practice, every mistake a lesson, every burn a memory. People thought he was punishing himself, but he smiled. This is not punishment, he said. This is preparation. He understood what many forget. Resilience isn't enough. You must become anti-fragile, not just able to withstand life's hits, but to grow because of them. Marcus Aurelius said, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." The blacksmith didn't fear the flames. He fed them. Because he knew what burns you can also build you. Most people avoid discomfort, fear failure, dodge the difficult, but the Stoic leans in. Because he understands that struggle isn't the enemy, comfort is, Seneca wrote. We must undergo a hard winter training and not rush into things for which we haven't prepared. You want strength? Don't avoid hardship. Design it. Wake up early. Train hard. Take the difficult conversation. Seek challenge. Build yourself through fire before life throws you into it. Like the blacksmith, let every setback temper your will. Let every test shape your edge. Let every failure make you harder to break. Anti-fragile doesn't mean immune. It means evolving. It means you don't just bounce back, you bounce forward. So ask yourself, am I shrinking from discomfort or sharpening through it? Do I fear being tested, or am I secretly waiting to rise? Because fire will come. The only question is, will it consume you, or will it forge you? The Stoics chose fire, and they came out shining. On the final page, we'll close with the ultimate Stoic formula for freedom. Why mastering your thoughts, actions, and emotions leads to unshakable clarity. And how to begin that journey now, not later. How many times have we acted out of impulse? Only 2. Wish later we had paused, thought it through, responded with reason. This is why emotional detachment is essential. It's the space between the spark and the fire. It gives you control, even in chaos. Picture a firefighter charging into a burning building. He feels the heat. He knows the danger, but he doesn't panic. He doesn't scream. He stays calm, calculating. Now compare that to the average man, who explodes at stress, who yells when things go wrong, who makes decisions based on frustration, not logic, who has more power. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of your pain isn't real. It's a story you wrote in your head. Someone insults you. Do you react blindly, or step back and ask, does this actually matter? That's the strength of detachment. It puts you back in the driver's seat. Not the insult, not the emotion, not the noise of the world. Look round today. Everyone's outraged, offended, triggered by everything and grounded by nothing. But what does it achieve? Nothing but wasted energy. Now think of the men you truly respect. The ones who move with calm presence. Are they the ones who blow up over traffic, over gossip, over small things? Or are they the ones who hold their center, who move with clarity even when the world shakes? The answer is obvious. Emotional detachment is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's the discipline to pause, to think, to respond, not react. So how do you build it? Start here. Question your first emotional response. Don't act, analyze. Ask, is this worth my energy? Will this matter a week from now? A year from now? At the end of my life? You are not obligated to engage with every feeling. You can observe without obeying. When you master this, you become unshakable. People will test you. You won't bite. Life will challenge you. You won't crumble. You may not control what happens, but you always control how you respond. And in the end, that's the only power that matters. The world doesn't belong to the loudest voice. It belongs to the calmest mind. So ask yourself right now, are you the man who reacts, or the man who responds, the man who is driven by impulse, or the one guided by clarity? The choice has always been yours. What if the praise you chase is the prison you build? What if freedom begins the moment you stop needing applause? What if the only person who needs to believe in you is you? Let me show you a story about letting go of needing approval. A man who found his worth in silence. The craftsman who stopped performing. He made things with his hands, fine things, wooden carvings, stone tools, furniture carved with patience. His work was beautiful, but his eyes always searched for something else, praise. Do you like it? He'd ask. Is it good enough? Every compliment lifted him. Every silence crushed him. He didn't just make things, he performed. And without applause, he felt empty. Until one day, an older craftsman visited his shop. The man admired the pieces, then asked a single question. Do you love it or just love that they love it? That question stopped him. He realized he was chasing approval, not mastery. That day, he made a quiet vow to create for the sake of the work, not the reaction, and everything changed. Marcus Aurelius said, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." Why? Because validation feels like safety. Approval feels like identity. But it's a trap. If the world has to like you for you to like yourself, then you don't own your confidence. They do. The craftsman let go. He stopped asking, stopped performing. He worked in silence, with joy, with focus, and something strange happened. The praise didn't stop. But now it didn't matter. Seneca said, "He who seeks approval from others has already condemned himself." You are not here to be liked. You are here to be true. When you live by internal standards, you rise unshaken. The Stoics didn't write for fame. They didn't fight for applause. They practiced excellence for its own sake. So ask yourself, would I still do this if no one clapped? Would I still speak the truth if no one agreed? Would I still train if no one noticed? Because that's who you are when no one is watching. That's the version of you that cannot be taken. The craftsman found peace the day he stopped looking outward. He still worked, still improved, but he was no longer a prisoner. He had already approved himself. So the next time you seek applause, pause and ask, what would I do if I didn't need anyone's permission? Then do it, because the man who acts from principle, not popularity, is the man who never has to chase confidence again. You've just walked through 10 stories, 10 mirrors, 10 truths the Stoics whispered across centuries, from the boy with the shadow voice to the craftsman who stopped performing. From the fireman who stayed calm to the man who counted his days. You've seen what happens when a man takes responsibility for his mind. Not when the world changes, but when he does. Now, ask yourself, which of these lessons still lingers in your chest? Which one exposed the story you've been stuck inside? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it? Chapter 1 wasn't just knowledge. It was your training ground. Now comes the test. In Chapter 2, we go deeper into the fires of adversity, into failure, loss, betrayal, and pressure, into the principles that forge unbreakable men. Are you ready to walk further? To meet the parts of yourself you've been avoiding? To sharpen your mind until nothing external can dull your edge? Then meet me in Chapter 2, because this story isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. Thank you for walking this path. Thank you for choosing the harder road. And thank you for showing up for your own mind. We'll see you in the next chapter. Stay strong, stay grounded, stay stoic.